For 9 years, a man terrorized women across the D.C. region, breaking into homes and raping his victims before killing a brilliant young scientist near Georgetown University in 1998.
As these cases went on, the more the victims resisted, the more violent he became.
Then he suddenly stops, leaving police with a lot of clues and one unknown subject. 10 years go by, then 20, and then detectives get the break they need to crack the case wide open. I'm Paul Wagner. Join me for Unknown Subject, Season 3 of WTOP's American Nightmare podcast series, available now on all podcast platforms.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 285 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing very well.
Good.
Doing very well. You and I were just kind of talking before we started the episode. You know, I'm uploading old episodes of both Unsolved and TCAT to YouTube.
Right.
And I'm having to re-listen to them.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting the biggest kick out of them. You know, things were so different. The intros were different. The what we said at the end was different. All of it. It kind of makes me laugh. But we've got a couple of great episodes on tap. On TCAT, we're finishing up with part 2 of the Chris Benoit story.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a good couple of episodes. A lot of talk in episode 2 about, you know, CTE, head trauma.
Right.
Steroids, and, you know, really what kind of caused all of this.
Yeah.
So that's out now.
Good episode.
Check that out. Before we dive into this Unsolved episode, let's go ahead and give our Patreon shout outs. We had Emily Andrews, who jumped out at our highest level.
Hey, thank you, Emily.
Linda Sinclair.
Hi, Linda.
Raina Talabak.
What's going on, Raina?
Jarrell Luna.
Hey, Jarrell.
Kevin Rose.
Well, what's going on, Kevin?
Angie Johnson.
Hey, thanks, Angie.
Mahek Sandhu.
Well, hi, Mahek.
Teresa Schrock.
What's up, Shirok?
Sheila Torres.
Hey, there's Sheila.
Julie McKenna.
Ah, thank you, McKenna.
Sarah Zardalona.
I'm just going to go with Sarah.
That's easy. Sarah Brown.
Hey, there's another Sarah.
Tina Chang.
Hey, appreciate that, Chang.
Landon Heisey.
What's up, Heisey?
Kathy.
Hey, there's Kathy.
Don Caton.
Oh, man, thanks, Don.
Sierra Colson.
Appreciate that, Sarah.
Tammy.
Hey, Tammy.
Stacy Krogerus.
Oh, I like Krogerus.
That's where I do all my shopping.
Yeah.
Sabrina Stanberry.
What's going on, Stanberry?
Kathy Rayburn Troba.
Well, thank you, Kathy.
Neurotic.
Hey, Neuro.
Sonia Power jumped out at our highest level.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Power.
And Karen Dahl also jumped out at our highest level.
Man, look at that. Way to go, Karen.
And then if we go back into the vault, this week we selected Hannah Potts.
Hey, Anna.
So we appreciate all the Patreon support. And then we had a great donation on PayPal from Deanna Johnson.
Well, Deanna, you rock.
Yeah, appreciate everyone. Absolutely. All right, buddy, are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved?
I'm ready.
We're talking about the mysterious death of Gareth Williams. And so we're leaving the United States. We're getting on a plane and we're going across the pond to Great Britain.
Yeah, I typically take a submarine, but...
You do.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the way you roll. It was in August of 2010 that Gareth Williams was found dead in his apartment in London. And by no means was this a routine death investigation. Gareth was found zipped up and locked inside a sports bag. He was also an employee of Government Communication Headquarters, the UK Intelligence and Security Organization, and was working with MI6 at the time of his death.
I don't know about you, but that has me very interested.
Yes, I do think it's a fascinating part of this story. You know, you've got a little bit of Jason Bourne, Mission Impossible, The Kingsman, whatever. There's all kinds of movies that revolve around three-letter agencies around the world. Gareth Williams was born on September 26, 1978. His parents are Ian and Ellen, and his sister is Carrie. Gareth was just 31 years old when he died. He lived on the island of Anglesey, Wales. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's what I'm going with. Gareth was considered a math genius by his peers. And because he was so advanced in school, his peers were older than him. So we got a lot of stuff here, Gibbs, that is pointing towards your life.
It really is.
The three-letter agencies, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
The fact that you advanced so many years in school that everybody was, 3, 4, 5 years older than you.
Oh, if not more.
If not more. Classmates described him as socially naive and introverted. Okay, well, if everybody's X amount of years older than you, I could see where they might think you're socially naive.
Sure.
And would you maybe not be introverted because you may not have as much in common with the people that are in your classes?
Yeah, and you might be a little intimidated as well.
Gareth moved to secondary school a year early. Most students start secondary school at age 11. When he was 13, he earned top scores in A-level math and computer studies. By the age of 15, his teachers decided to send him to Bangor University. Think it's Bangor or it's Bangor? Because, folks from Maine always get on me for mispronouncing it.
We'll say it's Bangor.
But we're not in Maine.
No.
So I don't know. So he's going to this university for a math degree.
Yeah.
At the age of 15. And he earned his degree in 2 years with first-class honors.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad coming from your perspective. From my perspective, this kid's Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
Was Doogie Howser because, I got good grades in school, but I was perfectly happy just to kind of go with my class. Nobody ever asked me to move up, but if they had, I would have said, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
You were like, I'm good coasting right where I'm at.
Yep. Coasting is actually a pretty good word, and a lot of people that knew me would back that up. Dylan Perry, a childhood friend, told The Guardian he was the kind of person who found it difficult to engage with people on a normal level. It was clear that he was going to go far, but we all assumed he would end up in academia. Finding out he became a spy was a shock. I think that would be a shock to your friends, your classmates, because number one, they're seeing you as this kind of shy, introverted person.
Right.
You're good at math. Yes. But they're not seeing you as Jason Bourne.
No.
Or 007.
Or any type of spy.
Or any spy. I can keep naming them.
Yeah. I mean, you were taken back a little bit when I told you some of my stories.
Sure. But I didn't know you as the 12, 13-year-old Doogie Howser version. According to The Guardian, Gareth's former math teacher, Gareth Williams, said he was a math genius. He said, I'd heard about this amazing pupil. He had done his GCSE at primary school and got a B at an intermediate level. He took the higher level GCSE in a couple of months and then got an A. It was a problem for us. What could we do with him? We got him to follow A levels, and he did A-level math and computer science in the third form. He achieved A's in them. That was a big problem because he was still only 13 years old. So that's when they contacted the university, and he followed the first year of math degree course.
To do that computer science in the third form, impressive.
Yeah, I don't think you know what you're talking about, but we're just going to go with it, and I'll brush past it. At the age of 18, Gareth moved to Manchester University to start a PhD program. His dissertation focused on computer games, something he was very passionate about. He had a reputation for being unbeatable.
Oh, so now you have something in common here.
Exactly. Very passionate about computer games, and not to pat my own back, but I'm pretty good at certain games.
Yeah.
Gareth's friends later told the Daily Mail that he was handpicked by the Secret Services while at university. At the age of 21, they approached him. The university believes the Secret Services found him because of his online gaming abilities. Gareth's mentor and professor, Terry Hewitt, told The Guardian, in 2000, Gareth came into my office and said, I'm going to GCHQ. He had to tell me, as I was his referee for his vetting, Gareth went through developed vetting before GCHQ hired him. He worked as a communications officer at GCHQ in Cheltenham, Gloucestershire, which was called the government's listening post. It was believed that he was one of those code crackers, cipher breaker type people.
That'd be kind of cool.
Which I've always found fascinating. You know, that movie, The Imitation Game?
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Always fascinated by the kind of Enigma code and what went on in breaking that. Some of that happened very close to you and I here in Dayton, Ohio.
Sure did.
He was sent to MI6 station in Kabul during his career and was thought to have helped break Taliban codes. In 2000, Gareth enrolled at St. Catherine's College at the University of Cambridge for a post-grad certificate in advanced mathematics, but he dropped out in June 2001 after failing an exam. So I just want to regroup for a minute because, I've thrown out some names. Jason Bourne, 007, but, you can throw in like an Alan Turing. You can throw in, what was the guy from A Beautiful Mind? I can't think of his real name.
Yeah, Russell
Crowe.
Character.
That character, that was a real person.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he was on the level of these individuals, but obviously he was very, very smart in mathematics.
I have a friend that I used to go to school with back in the day, and their kid, graduated from Cincinnati University of Cincinnati. And while he was going to school there, he got asked to work for one of the big agencies.
Okay. Are you giving some secrets away here that on a national podcast that you should not be?
Maybe.
Are you going to be in danger at some point?
I might have to make a run for it. But he was really good at the computer stuff.
You know how old you sound right there?
I know.
By saying the computer stuff.
Yeah.
One GCHQ contractor told The Guardian that Gareth was considered stable, reliable, and potentially brilliant. He fit in well with the work environment at GCHQ. The Guardian wrote, possibly for the first time, he was part of a community of similarly focused individuals who were taken on for their discretion as well as their brains, intercepting, monitoring, and analyzing email and telephone calls from around the world. Now, he did feel the pressure constantly, according to the contractor, who noted that at GCHQ, many technicians were as clever or even more clever than Gareth Williams.
No doubt about it. These places recruit
the best of the best.
Best of the best, right? So you might be the best in your area. You might be smarter than anybody that you've ever met. But then all of a sudden you're thrown in a room with people that can match your wits or exceed them.
Well, and you can make maybe an analogy to professional sports. You have somebody, a guy or a girl, who is so far above talent-wise everybody else in their area. They go to college. They're better than everybody. But when you get to the pros, okay, for the most part, everybody's as good as you.
Yeah.
And some people are going to be better. And it's maybe a little bit of a good analogy here. According to The Guardian, Gareth was such a serious and focused person that when he did get excited, he alarmed people with his unusual laugh. You ever know somebody that has a very, very strange and unusual laugh?
Yeah.
I've known some people who didn't laugh the same way all the time. Not like if you were watching a comedy, they wouldn't laugh.
Right.
But when they got nervous or scared, they had this laugh that would come out that would be a little bit alarming.
Was it a laugh like the Joker's?
I wouldn't go that far, but I've known some people with some nervous laughs that would shock you a little bit. The only people who talked about what Gareth did had left GCHQ by the time he died. They told The Guardian he was a middle-ranking technician and asserting himself in a number of sensitive areas, any one of which could theoretically have brought him into contact with enemies of our state. Okay, so now we're getting into the beginnings of maybe some theories in this story. Obviously, he was a very intelligent guy, but he was also working on some very sensitive material that some people said would have brought him into contact with some very bad people. Well, here's the thing. When you're in contact with really bad people, sometimes really bad things happen.
Of course, yeah.
And that's what we're going to have to figure out. Is that what happened here?
I thought it was interesting they call him a middle ranking.
I didn't know what that meant. Is that middle as in middle of the pack? He wasn't the best, but he wasn't the worst?
That's the way I'm taking it.
Or more like a middle management.
Yeah.
He's not at the top of the hierarchy. He's somewhere in the middle. I wasn't sure about that. Gareth was also described as a cycling and fitness fanatic. In his free time, he liked to cycle. He liked to hike. Kath Stanley, a neighbor and retired police superintendent, told The Guardian, Gareth was a smashing lad and really into his cycling. His father was called Mr. Fitness around here because he was a keep fit fanatic. I don't even think either of them drank. Gareth and his dad used to cycle around here together in Lycra kit and helmets.
Sounds like they really like biking. I know you really enjoy biking, but I don't know if you enjoy it on that level.
Well, they don't call me Mr. Fitness for nothing. But I also find it interesting when British people use the word kit, which for the longest time, I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
Until I started watching that show on Apple, Ted Lasso.
Right.
Where he's managing that football team over there.
Yeah.
And now that I know kit means uniform.
There you go.
See, I learned something by watching television.
And I know how much you like Lycra anyway.
I am a big fan of Lycra. That is true. Keith Thompson from the Holyhead Cycling Club told The Guardian that Gareth joined the club when he was 17. He said he wasn't a great conversationalist. I never spoke to him about his job or his private life. Nobody did with Gareth. Although he was passionate about fitness, Gareth didn't have much personal life outside work. For 10 years, Gareth rented an apartment in Cheltenham owned by landlady Jenny Elliott. He only ever told her he worked at the Foreign Office. According to Jenny, Gareth was quiet and kept to himself. He kept his furniture simple and minimal, only using the furniture she provided. And he rarely went out, except for an occasional drink with his coworkers. He worked late at night and got up early. He sounds like the perfect tenant.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
He doesn't cause problems. He doesn't make noise. He doesn't have people over.
He's good with your furniture.
According to The Guardian, in 2003, Gareth traveled to Menwith Hill, a Royal Air Force base in Yorkshire. He arrived after the invasion of Iraq in March 2003. One former security consultant said, between the UK and the US, we were deluged by the chatter from radicals here and over the Atlantic as they talked on landlines, satellite, or mobile phones with contacts in hot countries like Pakistan and Afghanistan, as well as with Saudi and hubs like Dubai. A group around Williams worked on software to assemble, search, and analyze the data, drawing out patterns and meanings.
Doing something like that seems really amazing, to be able to find a way to pull all that chatter in and decipher it and find a way to use it.
Well, and we have to keep in mind, this is in the wake of 9/11. So this type of stuff got ramped up very quickly. Gareth Williams also intercepted phone calls and emails during the liquid bomb plot, or the 2006 transatlantic aircraft plot, where a group planned to detonate explosives on 7 flights to major cities in North America. As part of this work, he flew between the US and UK and worked at Fort Meade, the NSA headquarters in Baltimore, Maryland. And you don't hear as much about some of these things because they never came to fruition.
Right.
They were stopped. So they're not cemented in your brain like a 9/11 or, like the incident in Paris, or, you can talk about a number of different things like that.
Yeah, they're not going to make the national media.
Well, they might make it, but they disappear very quickly.
That's true.
From people's minds. You know, we talk about it all the time. Everybody knows where they were or can remember the day, especially if, you know, obviously if you were in the US, that 9/11 happened. And I'm sure around the world, people remember that. But when something doesn't happen and it's only reported that it was a plot, you're probably not going to remember it. During the final year of his life, Gareth Williams was on temporary assignment at the MI6 headquarters in London. During his last job with MI6, according to The Guardian, Gareth focused on foreign targets and intelligence gathering, becoming really more of a spy than a desk-bound technician. And this is really a big change if you think about it, because you have people who work desk jobs in intelligence.
Right.
And then you have people who are out in the field, one probably a little bit more dangerous than the other.
Well, there's a little less danger to come in contact with when you're sitting behind a desk.
True Crime All the Time Unsolved is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, while you're listening to Gibby and I talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now. Getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average. And auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year. So you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers. Surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2020 and May 2021. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations. For true fans of true crime, the Generation Y podcast is essential listening. Hosts Aaron and Justin started this podcast in 2012 to dissect some of the craziest and most notable murders, crimes, and conspiracy theories together. And 10 years later, they're still at it, unraveling a new case each week. Aaron and Justin take on infamous cases like the Evil Genius bank robbery, the Zodiac killer, and the Tylenol murders. And they also cover lesser-known cases like the case of Kimberly Rico, aka the Valentine murder, where Kim takes her husband on a romantic weekend that includes a murder mystery play that she, of course, uses as a cover to murder him for insurance money. The two go over every angle, breaking down theories, diving deep into forensic evidence, and interviewing those close to the case. And honestly, it feels like you're in the room with them while they get into it. Follow the Generation Y podcast on Amazon Music or listen early and ad-free by joining Wondery Plus on Apple Podcasts or the Wondery app. You know, most of us, when we're looking for a good restaurant, we pore over lists, we pore over reviews. So why not do the same when you're booking a doctor's appointment? With ZocDoc, you can see real verified patient reviews to help find the right doctor in your network and in your neighborhood. With ZocDoc, booking an appointment with a doctor that suits your needs, fits your schedule, is in your network and in your neighborhood is easy. ZocDoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. On ZocDoc, you can find every specialist under the sun, whether you're trying to straighten those teeth, fix an achy back, get that mole checked out, or really anything else. ZocDoc has you covered. Their mobile app is as easy as ordering a ride to a restaurant or getting delivery to your house. Search, find, and book doctors with just a few taps. Every month, millions of people use ZocDoc, and I'm one of them. It's my go-to whenever I need to find and book a quality doctor. Go to ZocDoc.com/unsolved and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/unsolved. ZocDoc.com/unsolved. So during this time, he was traveling back and forth between the UK and the US. At that time, the UK and NSA were working on cyber defense. A cybercrime specialist told The Guardian that at the time of his death, Gareth was researching Britain's vulnerability to different gangs. And this is big for any country. You need to know right? Who wants to do you harm or who may want to do you harm? And, there's all these secret organizations, some not so secret, some more secret than others, who are keeping track of people and cells and all that stuff. It's believed that Gareth was advising MI6 on secret communication techniques at the time of his death. Informed Whitehall sources told The Guardian that GCHQ boffins were put under pressure in their private lives because of the secrecy of their jobs and the special skills and knowledge they had.
So we had to look that up, right? And we found out that Whitehall is a street in London with many government offices. And then the term boffin, that's a scientific expert, especially one involved in technological research. I like the name boffin.
Yeah, it's a strange name. It sounds like it comes out of Star Wars or something. But Whitehall, I knew what that was as soon as we looked it up.
Right.
You ever had that happen? Like it doesn't register in your mind at the time, but as soon as it's explained, you're like, yeah, I knew that. I have that happen to me all the time.
Yeah, it does that with me too. Or sometimes I know what it is, but I just can't recall it. Then someone will say, well, that's such and such. And you're like, I knew that.
Or I should have remembered that or something like that. Boffin, I had no clue on. Gareth lived in a top floor apartment in Pimlico, an area of central London. He lived about half a mile from the MI6 headquarters. His building was split into 4 apartments. The Guardian described the building as mid-terrace property in a street of 5-story Victorian townhouses. The wealthy area, a few blocks from Victoria Station, is home to bankers and politicians, including 2 former Home Secretaries, Michael Howard and Leon Britton. According to the Daily Mail, his neighbors said he was extremely friendly, but he was also a private and quiet person. Neighbor Laura Houghton said, I've spoken to him only once. I met him in the entrance hall of the set of flats because of a boring plant issue about a year ago. He was extremely friendly and had a Welsh accent. His windows were always shut and curtains were often closed. I could never tell if anyone was in. It was strange that we never saw him come and go. I just assumed he worked away.
It's kind of like my apartment.
Or what people say about me.
Oh, for you, for sure, this is you.
This guy never leaves his house. Yeah. We never see him come and go.
They probably don't even know if there's a man that lives here.
No. At the end of August 2010, Gareth planned to leave London and move back into his apartment in Cheltenham. His former landlady, Jenny Elliott, gave a lengthy statement to The Guardian, saying, he came to live with me in a flat on the side of my house when he started to work at the Foreign Office. He was with me for about 10 and a half years, then moved out a year ago. He was due to come back to me on September 3rd. He rang me and said he would be back then. He said, can I come back? And I said, sure. I hadn't heard anything else until a lady from the Foreign Office called at 6:00 on Monday night to say that they hadn't had a sighting or a whereabouts. And had we heard anything? She said she was the Foreign Office's head of employee assistance. Although he didn't belong to me, I was quite proud of him. It's like losing one of my own children. We expected to hear from him any minute. He was coming back here to work. When he went to London, I said, you won't like it up there. It's not like the countryside. But he said he wanted a change of scene. Those were his words. So obviously you can tell that this woman was quite attached to Gareth. And you could see how that could happen. He had been living there for 10 and a half years, she said.
Yeah, you're going to build some type of relationship.
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
Gareth's sister, Carrie, and her husband last saw him in June. He took them out for tea at the Ritz to celebrate their second wedding anniversary. It was a nice afternoon. They laughed, they joked with each other. Gareth didn't talk about what he was doing for work, but they knew he'd been over there 6 months by that point. After Carrie and her husband left, she continued speaking with Gareth on the phone. She last spoke to him on August 11th when he got back from a trip to the U.S. He said he would tidy things up before returning to Cheltenham on September 3rd. So this is kind of a big thing. I'm thinking, Gibbs, this notion, and it comes from a number of people, that he was planning on returning to Cheltenham on September the 3rd.
He's telling his previous landlord he'll be back. He's telling his sister and brother-in-law, I'm going to be back. It sounds like that was his plan.
The police confirmed that Gareth was last seen on August 15th, 2010. Carrie tried to call him a week after their last phone call, but he didn't answer. She called him repeatedly, and then she became worried when he didn't respond. So she contacted the police. Security services was also concerned because Gareth hadn't shown up for work. The police were called to his apartment after receiving reports that no one had seen Gareth for a long time. An officer went to the apartment on August 23rd, 2010 at 6:30 p.m. A leasing agent let the officer inside the apartment. It was reported to have been spotless. That was the word that was used. There were no signs of a struggle. There were 2 iPhones, SIM cards, and an Apple notebook on a table. The officer found a red sports bag in the bathtub of the main bathroom. And it was said that red liquid was seeping out of it. The Guardian wrote, inside was a body in such a contorted position that the officer thought its legs and arms had been cut off. So Gareth Williams was found naked and folded up inside the bag. The bag was zipped and it was padlocked. Keys were found under his body. Initially, it was believed he could have been in there for up to 2 weeks. But this was before police knew about the last sighting of Gareth. MI5 agents searched the apartment, followed by detectives from the Homicide and Serious Crime Command with SO-15, Scotland Yard's Counter-Terrorism Command. Home Office scientists began investigating the crime scene. So I just want to take a minute and kind of walk back through this grisly scene. It's not at first, right? The police officer walks in on what appears to be just an apartment of a guy who's really, really tidy.
Right.
But then you find this bag in the bathtub with this red liquid seeping out of it. They get it open, and I'm picturing this bag obviously to be kind of a sports bag, not a full-size bag that you could put a body in. So to get it in there, it had to be contorted in a very serious way, to the point where the officer assumed that the legs and arms must have been cut off, because there's no way that someone could fold a body up in this bag.
Can you imagine trying to stuff me into a sports bag?
Oh, I can imagine. I've imagined it many times. No, not the type of sports bag that I'm picturing. Now, I've not seen pictures of this bag, but in my mind, it would take a pretty big bag to be able to put a human in any kind of normal way without essentially folding it in half. And I hate to be so graphic, but it sounds like essentially that's what kind of happened here. The Daily Mail reported that the phone and SIM cards were found laid out in the apartment in what was called a ritual manner. Other sources said that they were just carefully laid out. I don't know what a ritual manner means. I mean, you might hear that term about how a body is displayed or something like that. But when you're talking about phones and a SIM card, I don't know what a ritual manner means.
Yeah, I don't either.
It was initially reported that Gareth was stabbed, but an exam of his body found that to be false. His body was removed from the apartment on August 24th, and investigators continued searching the apartment. Detectives were also looking into his lifestyle and recent activity. The police went to the Williams home on the 24th to tell Gareth's parents the news, but they couldn't find them. They were told that they were on vacation. Someone informed John Hughes, Gareth's grandfather, that he was dead. John was so upset that he fell and cut his head and had to be taken to the hospital. Yeah, that's not going to be easy news to take.
No. Just to hear that your grandson was found dead.
But then you have to think about his parents, right? Police are searching for them to notify them about his death. They can't find them. William Hughes, Gareth's uncle, then got the news. He told news outlets that Gareth was home 3 weeks before his death. He spent time with his family. On August 25th, 2010, Gareth's parents found out he was dead when they landed in Manchester. They were taken to London to meet their daughter, Carrie, to identify the body. Man, on returning from vacation, that's the news you get.
Yeah, what a nightmare.
And right away, you have to go identify your son's body. Gareth Williams was locally identified on August 25th, but Scotland Yard refused to comment on his identity at that time. His uncle William told BBC, "It was terrible when I got the phone call yesterday morning. Just didn't know what to believe, really." He said about Gareth's career, "We don't know what he was doing. Never spoke about it."
Well, that's a good character to have if you work for one of those agencies.
And I think it's kind of normal that you're not really supposed to be talking about it with a bunch of people, even your family. Scotland Yard detectives from Homicide and Serious Crime Command investigated the murder along with SO-15, the counter-terrorist unit, and security service officers. The investigation into Gareth's death was called Operation Finlayson. Sources told The Guardian that the fact that Scotland Yard was investigating the case indicated that his work with MI6 and GCHQ was unrelated to his death. Scotland Yard called Gareth's death suspicious and unexplained.
I would call his death suspicious and unexplained also.
Yeah, that seems to be kind of a given. You're not really giving us much information with that, I guess is what I'm saying. True Crime All the Time Unsolved is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming, like when your favorite podcast is playing and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of comparing rates so you can find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you might just find getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies all lined up and ready to compare. So it's simple to choose the rate and coverages you like. Press play on comparing auto rates. Quote at Progressive.com to join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Hey folks, can we talk about Claire for a minute? Claire is an innovative new e-commerce paint startup that takes the hassle out of paint shopping with a streamlined selection of designer curated colors, peel and stick paint swatches, and premium paint and supplies, all delivered straight to your door. Unlike traditional paint brands, which overwhelm you with thousands of colors, Claire focuses on fewer, better colors. They even have what they call the Claire Color Genius, which is a fun 2-minute quiz that's like having an interior designer help you choose a paint color. What's also great about Claire is that the brand offers better paint formulations, so you'll receive paint that you can feel good about. There's no toxic air contaminants, hazardous air pollutants, EPA chemicals of concern. You don't have to worry about that stuff. With Claire, you can find everything you need to choose a paint color and tackle your paint project with confidence without leaving your home. From the products to inspiration, tips, and tutorials, it's literally a one-stop shop. So for your next paint project, definitely give Claire a try. Go to claire.com/TCATT for 10% off your order. That's CLARE.com/TCAT for 10% off. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times we deal with the pressure to put off fun until we feel like we deserve it. We deserve it right now. You've already earned some fun, so have it. It's like giving yourself permission to eat dessert first. With Best Fiends, an exciting puzzle adventure game. You can have fiendish fun anywhere, anytime. Add some joy to your daily routine with Best Fiends. I love the fact that I can pick it up anytime and play as many levels as I want. And I never get tired of that feeling of striving to reach the next level and the joy I get from actually reaching that next level. I'm over level 400, so I have been playing it for quite a while. Best Fiends is a free to download mobile puzzle game with thousands of exciting levels for new adventures and challenges every time you play. There are dozens of unique fiends to collect, so you can customize your team of fiends to defeat the menacing slugs. And they have brand new events and challenges that pop up year round, so you've always got a chance to earn earn exclusive in-game items, characters, and rewards. You've earned your fun time. Go to the App Store or Google Play to download Best Fiends for free. Plus, earn even more with $5 worth of in-game rewards when you reach level 5. That's friends without the R, Best Fiends. A spokesperson for the Foreign Office told The Guardian, "It is long-standing government policy not to confirm or deny the identity of any individual working for the intelligence agencies. This is a police matter." According to Cryptagon.com, a spokesperson for the Metropolitan Police told the public, detectives are investigating a suspicious death following the discovery of the body of a man in a central London flat. We mentioned there were no signs of a struggle inside the apartment. Well, there were also no signs of forced entry, which indicated Gareth might have known his killer. The police removed his apartment door during their crime scene investigation. After Gareth's death, the media began investigating the owner of the apartment building. It was registered to a private company called New Rodina, which had an address in the British Virgin Islands. Because they had an offshore address, they were not listed with the company's house. Rodina means motherland in Russian and Bulgarian. Other sources say it means new home or new homeland. The Guardian reported that public documents showed that some current and former residents had links to London and Cheltenham. One French person who lived there in 2005 and 2006 was a GPS, radio communications, and high sensitivity antenna expert.
So it sounds like there was another maybe tech guru living in this apartment complex.
Yeah, and maybe some other individuals who had ties to some of these government agencies. That's what I was kind of getting from it. Daily Mail searched land registry documents. The owner operated through Park Nelson, a law firm. Daily Mail reported the firm once occupied a rented office block in Bell Yard off Fleet Street, but no longer appears to exist. Gareth's apartment was later confirmed to be a security service safe house. New Rodina owned the apartment, but the Secretary of State took over tenancy in 2003. So I think that explains why there were other people with government ties, 3-letter agency ties living there.
Sounds like that's where they put them up while they worked for the agency.
Home Office pathologist Dr. Ben Swift conducted the post-mortem exam on August 25th. The exam came back inconclusive. Because there was no apparent cause of death, they had to do further testing for drugs and alcohol. Detectives believed that the killer was what they called a forensically aware hitman. Gareth was stuffed into a near airtight sports bag and put in the bathtub, which would contain spills and help keep smells to a minimum. The heat was on, which would speed up decomposition. Other theories were suicide or a sexual act gone wrong. The police weren't sure what happened to Gareth, but they didn't think he put himself in the bag. And it would be hard for me to believe that he put himself in this bag. Now, I mentioned I've not seen pictures of the bag. What is out online are pictures of bags that are thought to be of similar size and proportion. And that's one thing, to picture somebody getting themselves in the bag. It's another thing to think that the person then zipped it up and padlocked it from the outside.
Just doesn't seem plausible.
I don't even think it's possible.
Yeah.
I'm going beyond plausible to is it even possible?
You're just saying flat out no.
It's like a Houdini trick.
It would be like a Houdini trick.
To do that. On August 26, 2010, Gareth Williams' parents formally identified his body. Detectives continued their investigation. They suspected the motive involved his private life rather than his work. One person told The Guardian, the suggestion there is terrorism or national security links is pretty low down the list of probabilities. So they began looking into Gareth's phone, bank records, and CCTV footage from the surrounding area. They also began investigating his laptop hard drive. As the investigations continued, tabloids reported all kinds of stuff. They reported Gareth was gay, that he dressed in women's clothing, that he had cocaine, pornography, information on male escorts in his apartment. But these are tabloids.
Exactly.
So you don't stand at the checkout counter of the local Kroger and pick up the National Enquirer and say they're doing some hard-hitting journalism here.
It's also a good way to try to get the focus off some of these agencies and get them directed towards some other possibilities.
So that's a great point, right? One, you could make the argument that this is just tabloid journalism. It's how it works, shock and awe, right? Type of stuff. You could also maybe dive down a rabbit hole that involves some government agency feeding information or having somebody put this in the tabloids to help throw people off. According to The Guardian, detectives were privately certain that Gareth was gay, but they couldn't find evidence of a relationship. They also didn't believe that his sexual orientation was central to their investigation. There was no evidence of him paying sex workers, purchasing any type of S&M equipment, even using porn or doing drugs. One detective said, this man didn't really even drink. He was like a Boy Scout.
Yes.
And we just mentioned they had his computer. They analyzed his hard drive. They obviously would have had the ability to go back and see what type of porn he was searching for, watching. One thing that you and I kind of talk about all the time, it's kind of hard to erase everything from a computer. People have a way to get to it.
Even a computer expert like him, it's possible that he couldn't erase everything as well.
Possible. Now, maybe he could have. I don't know. I just have always heard it's very hard to get rid of everything completely.
Be very hard to get rid of all that stuff on your computer for sure.
Let's not talk about that. On August 27, 2010, Gareth's family said they were deeply upset by the claims about his private life and suggested that security services might have been behind a smear campaign. So kind of like what we just talked about. What we didn't talk about is, what's this do to the family? Now, you're grieving over the death of your son. And then you got to pick up these rags and see all this stuff printed about him, trying to, say he's this or that, or he did this or he did that. And even if he did, what's it have to do with anything?
Right. It would just end up pissing you off.
It would. And I think that's what it did to them. According to the Daily Mail, William Hughes said of the rumors that Gareth had information about male escorts and bondage equipment, I don't see any evidence of it. It never crossed my mind that Gareth was that sort of person. He left home at a young age, and what happened in his private life was his business. When you have these rumors in the papers, it is most distressing. It's heartbreaking that he died so young, and his family have enough on their plate without having to read these stories. Gareth's parents are not doing well at all. They're in a state of shock and struggling to come to terms with what has happened. They have seen what has been in the papers, and they are very, very upset about these untruths. The Daily Mail also reported sources close to the inquiry have dismissed some of the allegations, which raised questions over who was behind them and why they were made.
So exactly what you were saying. Of course, the families are going to be outraged about all this stuff coming out.
And then back to, okay, if it's not true, who's behind it?
So that's the big mystery, right? Who put these stories out and why did they put them out?
Yeah, I'm back to either it's just the normal tabloid stuff. Let's just see what we can throw out there to shock people. Or the other option is there's something a little more nefarious that involves, some agency. A spokesperson for the Foreign Office said, there is no question of there being a government dirty tricks campaign. We are as concerned as the family to establish the facts of Gareth's death. But the police investigation is now underway, and we must await its outcome. And I think this is kind of an interesting point, right? This determination that his death didn't have anything to do with the security agencies or the agencies that he worked for.
Yeah.
So then it's just up to police to investigate. These agencies are not really involved. The Daily Mail reported that Gareth visited the NSA up to 4 times a year. We talked about it, right? He regularly traveled to the U.S. and worked at Ford Meade in Maryland. He returned from his most recent trip to the U.S. on August 11th. The CIA also looked into his death to see if it threatened U.S. national security. One U.S. intelligence source said the strong implication is that his death is not connected to his intelligence work, though this could change at any time. They are understandably concerned about what has happened and are keeping a close eye on developments.
So never say never.
I don't think you can ever say never because you don't know the truth at this point, but everyone is kind of saying, from the police to the CIA, that it's not believed that his death is directly related to his work.
Okay. I don't know if I believe that, though.
And I don't know how they're coming up with that. Is it just because they don't have anything that would lead them to believe that? So they have to say, well, we don't think it is because we haven't found a connection. And I could see how that could happen, but that doesn't mean it's not. It just means you haven't found anything to connect it. But you also don't know what happened to him. So you see my point?
Oh, for sure.
On August 26th, Gareth's former landlady said he wasn't off work when he went missing. Why did no one notice? It's disgraceful the police weren't alerted earlier that he was missing. His murder is devastating, and I hope the person who did it is caught. She also confirmed that Gareth traveled to the U.S. for weeks at a time, 3 to 4 times a year, sometimes with a male colleague, sometimes by himself.
Well, hey, I get it. It is wrong that he was in that gym bag in that bathtub as long as he was, because nobody went to his place to check on him.
According to Cryptogon.com, William Hughes also confirmed this, saying he's been making the trips for a couple of years. I only found this out recently, and I don't know where in America he was staying or who he was working for out there, but I do know it was in relation to his job. His last trip was this summer. He returned from the States just a couple of weeks or so before he died. So you just talked about this, Gibbs. Why did it take people so long to kind of realize that he was missing or hadn't been accounted for? And security sources couldn't explain why Gareth was unaccounted for so long. Harry Ferguson, a former MI6 officer, said that intelligence chiefs were furious that details about his work were released. Ferguson said that the Secret Intelligence Service wanted to suppress information about Gareth's work and call him a civil servant when news about the murder came out. He told the Daily Mail they hoped details of his role could all be kept covered up. It is a standard process. Blurting it out has caused a lot of unnecessary embarrassment, risk, and upheaval to the SIS. If it had been managed properly, it could have been kept quiet. He could simply have been described as a government worker or civil servant. They are especially frustrated that it has emerged that not only was he working in GCHQ, but also at MI6. One of the concerns about having such a high-profile building as the SIS does is that while staff can be protected inside the building, there is significant risk that they could be followed home.
Yeah, no doubt they don't want people to know who these individuals are and what they do at that location. And I'm sure they were upset when they found out that this information got leaked.
On August 29th, the police confirmed that reports of bondage equipment and the ritualistic arrangement of the phone and SIM cards were untrue. Reports claimed there was evidence of a break-in and that SIM cards found had numbers of gay escorts on them.
So there was a lot of reports on many different things, but then you have the police confirming that all of this is untrue.
The police told Channel 4 News that it was a neat job. So this led to speculation that Gareth was killed in some type of professional hit. According to The Guardian, Whitehall sources maintain that his death was more to do with his private life than his job. Okay, more to do. That's a little different than I think what was reported earlier, which was, we don't believe it has anything to do.
Yeah, so now it's kind of a mixture.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
There were claims that someone he knew killed him because of reports of thousands of pounds being paid into and withdrawn from his account before his death, but the police came out and called this pure speculation. On September 1st, 2010, the toxicology tests were still being completed. The inquest into Gareth Williams' death was opened on September 1st in the coroner's court. Westminster coroner Paul Knappman said that at 6:30 p.m. on August 23rd, Gareth's body was found locked inside the sports bag in the bath of the bathroom of the main bedroom. Gareth was found in what he called an advanced state of decay. All right, so he's not shedding light on anything that we don't already know about. On September 6th, detectives released the last known CCTV footage of Gareth Williams to appeal to the public for information. Gareth was seen in central London on August 14th, entering an underground station around 3 p.m. On August 15th, he was captured shopping. He went to a cash machine and to Harrods. At 2:30, he was seen outside Harrods near a Dolce & Gabbana store. This is the last known sighting of Gareth Williams. At the time they released all of this CCTV footage, there was still no cause of death. Gareth had no traces of alcohol or drugs in his system. A police spokesman said testing for other substances continues. The death was still not classified as a murder at this point in time. Staff at Valerie's Patisserie Cafe told the police that the week before the CCTV footage dates, a man matching Gareth's description spent consecutive days in the cafe for several hours. He sat in the back with a laptop and occasionally spoke with visitors. The police also announced they were seeking out what they called a mystery couple who visited his building in the late evening in June or July. They said they were of Mediterranean appearance, in their 20s and 30s, and were buzzed in through the communal door.
Maybe some potential leads.
Maybe. Sounds like we're getting some more information. At the end of September, a second round of toxicology tests were inconclusive. Gareth's funeral was held on September 26, 2010. Then on October 28th, BBC reported that all tests for drugs, alcohol, and poisons were negative, and no further tests were planned. A Metropolitan Police spokesperson said results from comprehensive further toxicology tests carried out in relation to the death of Gareth Williams have come back negative, showing no trace of any drugs, alcohol, poisons, or any other substances that would indicate cause of death. Mr. Williams' death remains suspicious and unexplained, and inquiries into the circumstances continue. So, this thing has been mysterious from the get-go. But I think when you get the toxicology reports back, okay, even more mysterious.
Yeah. You're like,
how did this guy die?
We don't have anything leading to what caused this.
We know he wasn't shot. He wasn't stabbed. He wasn't strangled. My thought is they pretty easily ruled all of that out.
Right.
So by my way of thinking, they were probably hanging a lot on the results of the toxicology.
Yeah, probably looking for some type of poison that would say, bingo, here it is.
Scotland Yard had a very difficult time finding answers. They had a number of problems. I think first was the amount of time that Gareth's body was in the apartment, and the fact that security services prevented them from doing a kind of a deep dive investigation into his life. They couldn't find out everything because a lot of what he did, a lot of the people that he probably associated with, they didn't know and couldn't find out about.
Yeah, it was restricted.
So I think this is a good place to end part one. There's a lot more to this story, and obviously that's why we need a second episode to cover it in its entirety. In part two, we'll discuss a 2012 inquest into Gareth's death that left investigators and the public with more questions than answers, as well as the official coroner and police conclusions at the end of their investigations. But I think, and kind of wrapping up just this part one, you have a guy in Gareth Williams who obviously was very, very intelligent, well above average. I don't know if he was a genius or not, but it sounded like he was close to it if he wasn't. He was obviously doing some very sensitive work for a number of different agencies. He got to the point where, he's flying to the U.S. 3 or 4 times a year. He's working with the NSA. Some of these agencies in Great Britain don't want anything to come out about him. They don't even want papers to report that he worked for them or, what he did or any of that. Now, I don't know if you look at that as suspicious or not, because I think that would just be standard protocol. And I think one guy even said that it was. They just don't want anything out.
But it does make you wonder
if there was another reason for it as well. Yes. And I think you also have to look at, and I'm sure we'll dive into it in part 2 as well, but what type of person could have killed Gareth Williams? Can we rule out the fact that he took his life and somehow zipped himself and padlocked himself into the sports bag? I can, and I think we have to.
Yeah, I don't think this was any Houdini trick.
No. So could it have been someone he was having a relationship? I would say sure. But could it also have had something to do with his work? And I'm not ready to rule that out at all.
I don't think he can right now.
But we'll get into more of it next week when we put out part 2. So that's it for the first part on the mysterious death of Gareth Williams. We got some voicemails. You want to check those out?
Let's hear them.
Hi, Mike and Gibby. This is Paula McChesney from Shingle House, Pennsylvania. The funniest thing happened. My husband hears me listening to your podcast, so he knows the introduction music. And I was listening to Unsolved, and my husband said, they cannot switch the music up like that. I don't know what they think they're doing. I said, well, this is the Unsolved portion of True Crime All the Time. And he said, oh, thank God, because I don't know if I could handle the switch in the music. We love you guys. I've got my husband and my brother and my friends into listening to your podcast. You bring a smile to our faces every time we listen. We are Patreon supporters, and we love you guys. You're amazing. Keep your own time ticking.
Oh, that's awesome. Funny story.
Yeah, it really is. Some people have that music as their ringtone.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of people who have asked me about it, and I know you can turn it into one. I'm not tech savvy enough to do it, but I'm sure it can be done. But I always love it when people call in and say, the whole family kind of listens and they talk about it. I get a big kick out of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey guys, this is for the Unsolved, or maybe Solved, it's up to you, podcast. But my name's Christopher Barnett. I'm an avid listener. I don't have a team this or team that. Don't care. Love both of you guys. But I would love y'all to look into the R.B. Marshall murder that happened in the 1950s, 1960s, not sure when, of my family, grandfather, uncle, whatever. But check that out. It's a very interesting story. Please feel free to contact me on theories that I have on what happened from family history. Thank you.
Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to check that out and see what's out there. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Hey, guys. My name's Dylan from Spokane, Washington. I listen to you guys every single day when I'm at work. I pressure wash trucks and detail them. You keep me pretty busy throughout the day. I just want to say you guys rock. Keep up what you're doing. I'm definitely Team Gibby, 100%. But I love you guys. Keep on doing what you guys are doing. I love you.
Man, I need my truck detailed out and pressure washed. But I think he's doing big trucks.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
Not like your little S10.
But he's bigger than an S10. What do you say that for?
Remember the S10? That made you laugh, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
No, I think he's doing the big rigs.
The big rigs, yeah.
But we appreciate the voicemail very much.
Yeah, we love you too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Love everyone. But that's it for another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So from Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
This month, celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with Pluto TV. Watch movies like Compadres and the Spy Kids trilogy, or your favorite stars like Luis Gerardo Mendez in Camino a Marte. Plus, Pluto TV has thousands more movies and TV shows and over 45 channels in Spanish, all for free. So download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming today. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.